Well, hello again. I've had a lot of folks that want me to do another radio video. I'm already involved in another one that I had to, it's a Crosley. It's all repaired and everything. It just needs to have the chassis de-rusted, but I've got other things that have been consuming me. Fortunately, I got it all done in time except for one item, which I hope to finish this weekend. But, you know, people have been saying, at least a few, have said, we want you to do another radio video. So I decided to do something a little different this time. This is an Emerson model number 23 from prior to 1934. And we're going to try to do something with the chassis on this. Not this particular radio, but the chassis that would have gone in an Emerson model 23. And we're going to try to bring it back to life if possible. I paid 15 bucks for it on eBay. And it'll be a great, I don't know, kind of a great instructional video for those just starting out and would like to figure out how to do some of this stuff. And I remember when I first started out, boy, I latched right on to All American 5 radio. His stuff was so cool. I had never seen any of that before done to these old radios. And I was just enthralled. So maybe I can do the same thing for you. Let's find out. Well, this is it. Isn't she a beauty? We've got cracked speakers, of course. More than one spot. I'll have to fix all that. Minor item. The speaker does work good. Does not drag. You don't want something that goes... You don't want any of that stuff. And it had the 4 tubes in it, which was nice. And it had an 80, a 42, a 77, and a 6A7 back here. And it was, you know, kind of torn up. This thing here, I had no idea what it was. It was hooked onto the volume control. Somebody hooked that on quite a while back. I don't know why they did. I didn't know why they did that initially. I had to get a hold of my mentor Brendan and say, you know, well, what is that all about? And he said, well, they apparently used this radio chassis to hook up to another item, and they wanted to use the volume control, you know, to make it work. So they just hooked the thing there. He said probably a turntable, you know, a record player. I said, oh, okay, that makes sense. Now if you look down here, you see we got a wire that's been cut off. These 3 wires together were cut off this tab right here on the volume control right here. And what else we got here? Just kind of, I'm only going to give you a cursory rundown today to let you know what's coming up. I don't think it'll take, the whole object here is just to get it to play. All I want to do is get it to play. I'm not going to derust it. I'm not going to restore it. I have no cabinet for it. That's why it only cost me 15 bucks. But this is the kind of chassis that I would recommend a beginner get. If he screws it all up, he's only out 15 bucks. You know, it's not a problem, you know. But you got to understand, guys, these things, whether they're small, remember this came out, prior to 1934, which was the Great Depression. And they may be small, but they still present voltages and current that can really harm you. You've got to exercise the same amount of safety on this as you would a very large chassis that had 20 tubes in it or something like that. Stay safe at all times. That's what it's all about. If you don't know what you're doing, then don't do it. Stop, ask somebody else. Don't try to plow in there like you know everything. Nobody knows everything, okay? And then we have a wire here that's coming out of the... it looks like it's coming out of the audio output transformer, but it's been disconnected. We're going to take that off and find out. It's hard to see up under there where it goes, but we're going to go ahead and take it out. And you see at the bottom, this here is dangling off there. This has been added. It does require a large resistor here, and this has been replaced, so we'll have to do something with that because the value is all screwed up. Anyway, underneath, and actually this radio is not that molested, as we say in the biz. They put in 2 4 microfarad electrolytic caps here and here to give themselves 8, because if you put caps in parallel, they're additive. So they required an 8 and an 8. They didn't have them, so they used a couple of 4s here, a couple of 4s there. They're they're connected at different places, which we'll show you on the schematic later. And we're going to be checking out all of this stuff, the coils, everything. And like I said, it doesn't look like it's been very molested. All the wiring appears to be original, with the exception of where they soldered in these. Everything looks, that doesn't mean it's going to work though. We'll wind up replacing the, if I can just get it to make noise for you and show you how we did that, maybe you might get interested and try doing it yourself. Now keep in mind, these old dog bone resistors, they last pretty long. I just don't like them. I consider them unsafe. And the capacitors don't look that bad, really. I'm kind of shocked in a way. I don't know if they don't appear to have been replaced. Well, a couple of things that I thought were pretty cool about this radio was the on-off switch worked, volume control worked. It wasn't frozen. I kind of was happy about that. It wasn't all rusted up and everything. And the tuner, the variable capacitor, actually works. It's a little bit loose. Of course, they're mounted on rubber grommets and they always dry up. I wanted to isolate it from the chassis. And also to keep microphonics from going down through and all that. And one other thing was this bobbin. I have never had a radio that had an antenna wrapped around a bobbin or wrapped around a, whatever this is. This is a really thick, heavy cardboard. You would string this out wherever you wanted it. When you got all done, if you didn't want it anymore, you just wind it back up. Or it came like this, and for you to string up and leave, and then probably this thing that's wrapped around would be discarded. I'm not sure what it, like I said, I've never seen one before. Or they could have bought this afterwards and hooked it up themselves, whoever had, previously had the radio. It's kind of a neat little thing. I think it's cool. In all the videos I've watched, and all the radios I bought, I've never seen this. Pretty slick. I'm not going to get rid of that. We're going to keep that. And I think that's about it. Now, let me show you one more thing. To find a schematic on this radio, go to Nostalgia Air. Just Google Nostalgia Air. And once you click on that, it'll bring you up to your Nostalgia Air. Go down here to Resources. Click on Resources, and that gives you a list of all the radios, schematics that they're offering here. Go down to Emerson. Let me see. Emerson Radio and Phonograph Corporation. Click on that one. And then you come down to number 23. There it is right there. Emerson 23. That's what we got right there. 23. Click on it and kaboom. The schematic will come up. It shows you that it is a model 23. And it shows you it is prior to 1934. Now to get the schematic, you got to go down here with this big old eyeball. Because that's what you want to do. You want to eyeball it. And that brings up the schematic. Okay, nothing to it. And you can rotate it around with this arrow up here. Just keep clicking it, moving it around the way you want till you're comfortable for the writing and the schematic itself. And here's your schematic. That's what I'll be using. Now, when I first got that chassis, I had no idea. I bought it as an unknown radio, and I didn't know what it was. So I got a hold of my electronics mentor, Brendan, and he looked it up. He's got this Sylvania book on a CD. And he used the 77 tube as the key. He said that the Emerson, I think he said the Crosley 2 were, well, I'll tell you what, we'll just go to his email and let you see what it looks like. I asked him, I said, Brendan, how did you find the schematic for that thing? Did you just go to Nostalgia Air and start, perusing all of the schematics? The 4-tube, hopefully it hit it. He said, no. He said the Sylvania book that he has was pre-printed or reprinted as a PDF file, and he has it on his computer. When you open the file with your Adobe reader, there's a tool that scans the document, finds the letters, numbers, or words. It highlights every time you are looking for, or what you are looking for, and you can search through the document. So he plugged in the tubes. He said the key was the 77 tubes because I think it was the Crosley and the Emerson. They were the ones that primarily used the 77, which made it easier. Then he typed in the tube lineup, and it just brought up a couple of different selections, and there it was. So it's nice to have, he called it the tube lineup. You can search and find what sets have that lineup, and of course up came the Emerson 23. So if you want to follow along with this, if you've never done any of this stuff before, it'll be done in detail. It should not be but a couple, 2-3 videos at the most. And if you have any questions, let me know. You guys that know how to do this stuff, find a different video. Though, unless you just want to follow along and try to catch me on something I did wrong, you know, the I gotcha crowd, you know. If you want to do that, fine. I have no problem with that either. But if you're going to jump in there and try to hijack the series, I'm going to stop you. This is for our new guys just coming in. You know, it occurred to me recently, some of the people here watching videos were like 7 or 8 years old when I started doing YouTube. Now they're in their 20s. Holy mackerel. Until next time, this is John.